And welcome back to Command Stack, your podcast about all things Star Wars Armada and a whole bunch of other things that we may or may not get into over the course of this podcast. We've got a whole exciting show for you guys today. I'm Ken, and let's introduce the rest of the group here today.
Hey everybody, Garrett here, Tater.
I'm Ryan.
Hi, I'm Damon, also known by Xantos1159 online.
And now that I've thrown everyone off for a loop by not just going into to a couple other things, I'm going to let Ryan take over in a minute. But before we do that, one thing we always do here on the podcast. First of all, Damon, thank you very much for joining us. We're really happy to have you here. Garrett, we always go to you for the news. So what is going on in the news?
We only got one thing. All right, it's like October 72nd or whatever it is. Okay. We've gotten two updates for AMG, one on Facebook, one on the official Discord, that they're still working on that update. So it's coming eventually. Just I guess patience. So whatever, just keep playing whatever you're playing. Hopefully it comes out before January 20th. So we have like 2 months with it.
I think it's a positive thing here that they're actually letting us know that they're working on it.
Yeah, it is coming. It's a lot of communication.
But, I mean, Garrett, you were there with me when we spoke with Will Schick. And
yeah.
It isn't not. Okay, I'm going to go and say, after talking to him and thinking about it in retrospect, I think he threw October out there because it was far enough away that he's thinking, yeah, I think we can get it done by then. But
I think it just made sense.
Yeah.
Because it came out the last year before. I got to be honest. The amount of time it's taken for this update to come out, I almost wish we'd never found out. Because some people are very tense about it. But whatever, it's coming eventually. So
it'll throw a nice curveball in for Worlds.
Yeah.
Which will be coming out in March. But that's my opening to plea. If you have the means and if you are able and you have the time, please go to Worlds. It is the single most important thing, other than playing locally, that we can do to keep the game going right now is to have a really big showing at Worlds. There will be tickets and spots available. We don't really know the format yet of what it's going to look like. We don't really know the side events, but usually that all comes out right in about January. So stay tuned for that. Get your Adepticon tickets. There will be Armada there. So that's my pitch. And Damon, are you going to Worlds?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually got a screenshot on my phone of the dates. I believe they said December 16th is when the event cart preview launches. So you can start adding the tickets and stuff for that. And then January 12th is when you can officially buy tickets and stuff for that. So I definitely got that bookmarked and ready to go just to make sure I get mine.
Yeah, Jan 12 is when you can start registering for everything.
Yep.
December 16th is the preview that Adepticon puts out. Now, I know in years past, not every little detail is in all the events, but I would say 95% of all the events will be shown on the Adepticon site and their preview on December 16th. So, if it's there, I mean, pretty good odds that you'll see it there. So,
and if you don't have a hotel yet, like tonight, book a hotel if there's any openings. So
you can make it work. You can
$1,800 a night. You can stay with me. So I mean,
1750 with me. No, but yeah, no. Look for hotels.
I'll say this: like we have a surprising number of new people and new people who have expressed interest in going to Worlds for the game. And so to all those people, I don't know if you listen, but I hope you do. But if you are a listener and you see those new people and they start asking questions about Worlds, a lot of people just don't know how it works, right? Like they don't know like what day I get there. There looks like these heats things. Like please talk people through that and help them out, just to help get them to Worlds, be a good Armada citizen, I guess, and try to get people there. So
yeah, I guess we could say there's 2 days of heats, so get your ticket for the full weekend. We don't know the format after the heats, but we do know there'll be 2 days of heats where you get chosen to go play in Worlds, right? And that'll be like Saturday or Sunday. We don't know. All we know is Thursday and Friday are Heat 1 and Heat 2.
no.
And then
let me ask you guys this. I think this is an interesting question. What are you trying, and I know Damon might be because I've been thinking about it. Are you trying to game which day you go to? Like which day will be the more competitive day, the Thursday or the Friday, right? So just for people who don't know, the heats, it's you can be in Heat 1 on Thursday or Heat 2 on Friday. you're both trying to get to the same thing, which is Worlds on Saturday. Which one's more competitive? Are people flying in for Friday, or is it more, locals will be there more on Friday? What do you guys think?
I know Nova used to run the Heat system. They might still.
They
I'm not
do.
sure how big it is. Yeah. But historically, it was the first heat was always the locals, and the second heat was the out of towners. So I imagine if Adepticon follows format, the Thursday would be United States people, local Chicago, people who can drive in, and then Friday would be international, assuming they want to fly in later, spend less on hotels, spend less on flights. So I would imagine that would make Friday more competitive,
All
or
the
at least
Polish people are going to
kind of,
play on Friday, is what you're saying.
yeah, tougher to get in.
England and
That
Poland.
said, we don't know if they're going to let us pick or if we just have to buy a heat and then,
I'm
they'll
gonna
tell
That's
us
a good
A or
point.
B.
strongly recommend if you want to play Armada, you come in Wednesday night. I don't care where you're coming from. I really think you should come in Wednesday night.
But and speaking of someone who watched the entire LCQ last year, I mean, even if you're not playing, it's still a great place to be. Like, there's people to hang out with, chat with the entire time. There's tons of games going on, so you can bounce back and forth and watch stuff. There's people playing pickup games, playing side events. Like, there will be something Armada related to do. If you don't want to do Armada, there's an entire Adepticon going on.
For
And
sure.
there'll be side events after the heats. So if you don't qualify, there'll still be stuff to do. We don't know what the events will be. Like last year, the team tournament, we don't know, but there will be something. Yeah, we'll organize it. Somebody will organize it. Like the players can just get together and organize it. So
All right, so I guess I'll get into why the main tournament we're here to discuss today, which is the Kentucky State Championships. I ran it. I've always kind of wanted. I've always liked the idea of like a state championships. I always thought that was kind of fun. And then, you know, one of the things that AMG did really well was last year bring back store championships, and it's like an awesome local scene. People are driving around from like a state or two over, and we lost that this year when they did away with store championships, and it was a really big hit to the local community. And so I just tried to figure out a way to run, a 1 day event, and that's the problem now with Armada, and I think a lot of people run into it with their local game stores is that there is a reluctance to run Armada for like a local game store to give table space in some areas. So we don't have the option, I think, for a 1 day event to run 4 rounds tournaments. My store doesn't even open till noon. So 4 rounds is like completely off the table anyway. And there are problems with 3 round tournaments. Everyone who's ever been in a 3 round tournament, it doesn't always feel satisfying. And so the solution, and I am a big advocate of this, is if you have the numbers and the ability and the table space to run a team tournament, and you can do teams of 2, teams of 3, teams of 4, and make the numbers work. And you can have those, we had in Kentucky, we had 24 players with 6 teams. And so over 3 rounds, you're talking about 12 games for that team. Now you're getting into a situation where really the sample size is quite a bit larger than a 3 round event, takes away a lot of that variance that that is discouraging in 3 rounds events. So that's my sell for team tournaments. The big thing when you're running one like I did is you just kind of have to make sure everyone shows up, because if you have someone who gets sick, that really messes it up for all the 23 other people. So 24 is like a really big tournament for Armada these days. I was very happy. A lot of people showed up. Damon showed up from Ohio. We had a team from Chicago. We had 3 teams from Kentucky and then a team from Tennessee and Ohio. So we covered a bunch of states there. I think we had another guy come down from Indiana who was part of one of the teams. So team tournaments are great. The way they work, real quick, is I don't know if anyone used to watch Peter Gammons on Baseball Tonight, but he used to describe the game of baseball as an individual sport in a team concept. And that's what Team Tournament Armada is. It is still individual, but it is in the team concept. So you are going to play. You're playing regular straight 400-point Armada. It is really there's some fleet building rules and restrictions, but they're pretty minor. The biggest one is that everyone on your team has to play a faction. And so that's kind of a difficult thing to get someone to play all your factions. And then there's a matchmaking element to it, so that once you get drawn with a team, so say Team Ohio, that was Damon, get paired with Team Chicago that came down. They do matchmaking for about 5 minutes, and they pair up. So there's going to be 4 games between those two teams. That's the long and short of it. And then they play, your regular 2 hours and 15 minutes of Armada, and then you add up all your tournament points. And it really is Armada. It is nothing. It's more, Sector Fleet, all those other 200-point games. It is more traditional 400-point Armada. So for you can get good practice on your fleets just doing team tournaments. So if you have an opportunity to run them, highly suggest it. It's the best one-day tournament that you can run, in my opinion, if you only are limited to 3 rounds. So that's the introduction. With all that being said, in Kentucky last month, Team Ohio came down, and Damon won it. Damon, I did want to introduce briefly. He's the 9th best player in the world. He is
by 15 MOV. 15.
Finished 9th 2 years in a row at Worlds, so he's got that locked down. Incredible player. I think you got second in the tournament points for a turn, like as an individual scorer. Yeah,
individual was, I believe, at 24 or 25, and the top guy was playing CIS at 27.
Got it. Yeah. So if you could talk to us, Damon, a little bit about kind of I guess really start when I put the, hey, can anyone come play? When I put that out there, would you kind of assemble a team? How was that process look like? And then
so I've been doing the team tournament for years. I think ever since it started, since the format was introduced a couple of years ago. I've always been the team lead and just trying to figure out like a random group of people. So I've never been on the same team twice. But the team format itself, I'll second Ryan. It's super fun to actually be on a team with people and still be playing normal Armada and like not doing a weird sector fleet thing. Because you get like collaboration and talking and like, oh, how should we make our fleets to complement each other? Or like, can we have someone cover this like bad matchup maybe? And then, you also get to like team up and practice people without ever feeling bad. Like, oh, what if we play each other on like day 1 of Worlds and then all our prep is like thrown out the window, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy to what you said there. Do you go for your compositions? And there's theories about this, and I think the team tournament we haven't done enough of them to really know kind of what's the right theory. But there's a theory that you have a balanced fleet, or you have all 134, or you have skew fleets, right? Because you can get some say in the matchups, and I think that part's really interesting. So, or you just fly what you're going to fly.
You fly what you like, and I think it does also allow for a little bit more skew fleets. Like, so my fleet was a squadless Anakin fleet, and part of the reason I felt comfortable flying that is because all 3 of my teammates had really good lists into other squads. And so I wasn't ever worried about having to fight, like, say, a Rebel Rogues list that's just going to fly away and let their rogues kill half my ships, because there wasn't ever going to be a time where no one else wanted to take that matchup, because someone else in my team could take that and do pretty well, and then I could play a more favorable matchup.
So you flew a 6/6 activation Anakin fleet. Did you ever get matched up with? Did you ever get matched up against squads or a problematic squadron matchup?
So actually the last round was my worst game. It was against another Rebel. It was against a Rebel player who had, I think, 5 total activations, 1 being a flotilla, 4 being combat ships, and then a bunch of squads and some rogues and stuff like that. I barely won. I definitely should have won by 2 MOV, and because he had all the squads basically in front of my victory in round 4, and it was guaranteed dead. And I said, this is guaranteed dead. And then on round 5, he whiffed 6 shots in a row and did 2 total damage to it. And it lived on 1 hull at the end of the game. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, man, you should have had that. And I still would have won, but it would have been by 2 MOV as opposed to a 7-4. But yeah, that was an awful matchup. And it was I don't want to be I played so well, I destroyed, but I played very well to keep my flagship alive, bait him forward, kill some ships, and not just feed stuff into the squadrons. My victory, it rolled up and then it got caught by the squads and it should have died. That was just luck. That was not skill. But the rest of it, I did try very hard to keep my ships killing ships while not getting killed by squads.
Now, did you get placed into that matchup just because that's how the dice rolled, or did you select that matchup? You were thinking, I want the.
I think that was something they picked. We actually got confused because we were tired at that point. That was the round three game. The first two rounds, the way I like to lead because I'm usually the team leader, the way I like to do matchups is I try to guarantee a good matchup that we can kind of cash in for a win. And so round one, that was me. I put myself into, it was like two other combat ships, and I was with Onger and an ISD, and I was like, I can table this so easily. And in round three, I changed that strategy because I didn't have a clear, like, great matchup to get like a guaranteed big win. And so I led with one of my other teammates, and that ended up they got to choose between playing my list or someone else. And this the squads obviously chose the squadless fleet, and then the fleet chose, I think, Eric, who's one of my teammates. And both those matchups went pretty well for them. I mean, pretty well in my case, being I barely won as opposed to destroying them. But
Well, so that and that's I think one of the true rules of watching all these team tournaments is or overarching fleet building principles is surprisingly, if your team averages a 6.5 per game,
mhm.
you will win the tournament. And that it doesn't seem like very much, right? 6.5 is really just barely winning. But time after time, like look at you had 70 points over what 12 games. What does that break down to?
It was like barely over a six. Yeah.
Oh, barely over six. That's crazy. So you don't really need to win by a lot, but it's harder in a team tournament than you would think because you do get this matchup element about
Mhm.
getting some ability to get favorable matchups. So
Yeah, if you get yourself a good matchup, odds are they've also got a good matchup, and part of the strategy is trying to mitigate that as best we can. I know, so on my team, there are four players: myself, CJ, Eric, and Evan. I think CJ is actually the MVP for our team, even though he did not score as well as me. He went 3-0, getting 3.65s. And I consistently gave him some of the tougher matchups, knowing the way he likes to play is very meticulous and like setting up positions. And on the one hand, it means he doesn't get big wins often because he doesn't really commit and dive into big fights. But it also means it's really hard for opponents to get wins on him because he's very careful where he places his ships, what you have available to shoot at, and what he can shoot at. And so I think in round two and in round three, he played two of the higher placing people in the team tournament and got like very solid 6-5 wins against them, which really helped. Like, again, when you're talking about a couple tournament points in the end, getting those small wins as opposed to big losses is really important.
let's look at CJ's fleet real quick. What was he, Imperials or CIS?
He was CIS. He was actually the third CIS player on our team, myself being number one and Eric being number two.
Yeah, you don't fly Galactic Republic very often. I don't think I've.
No, it is my least played faction. Although I will say Anakin is one of my most played archetypes because he's very fun. I think he's the most fun you can have in Gar is just slapping down 6 or 7 ships, a couple consoles with X-Racks, a victory or two with stats, and then whatever else you want to tack on with minimal upgrades.
I think when Garrett and I ranked the commanders, I think we had when we did tier lists, I think we had an argument about whether Anakin was F or D tier. And
No, I think we said it was too early to tell because we did the tier list right after it came out.
Covering the tracks, I see.
I've since come around, and I came around because an acclimator hit me at a Soar Championship for like 12 damage at long range with spinals, and I was just like, where did this come from? And melted me. So I have seen the power of Anakin. I understand it now.
It's definitely a combination of factors. Because Vader kind of sucks, but Vader's also overshadowed by his officer card, right? I think one of the main things people forget about Anakin is that when you spend defense tokens, it doesn't have to be from the attacking ship, and that makes it so much easier to spend defense tokens because there's contains on the consulars, there's peltas people aren't shooting at, there's salvos on ships people aren't shooting at. And so that means you're not putting yourself in a situation where, your lead clam or your lead victory, your lead venator is going in with 2 red redirects like you would playing Vader. And then, you just add X-Racks to everything and go nuts. It's very fun.
Yeah, I think we thought it would be this Rube Goldberg machine, and I think it's just much easier to spend those tokens at a ship where you have an activation advantage that's clearly not going to add risk of getting shot at. And it's a lot easier than I thought it was at least going to be able to.
I think people get stuck in their heads that their ships have to have a bunch of upgrades. And with Anakin, you don't need any dice fixing. So it takes all the upgrades out. So it's just spam ships and then fly them at the distance 5. And that's the key to the whole admiral.
And
it's
this
an
one's
actual
five
kind
is
of a
very
new
generous.
archetype. It's kind of a new archetype, right? It's like Galactic MSU or Republic MSU.
Yeah, the closest you got was CIS Kraken before that, and Gar just does it so much better because they have a cheaper activation. Like a console with extracts is 41 points compared to a hard sell costing 47, and the consular throws way more dice. Granted, at close range, but it's also speed 4, and it's got a contain to spend. You can float it around very comfortably at speed 4, just flying around the edge, pinging stuff. Like, yeah, it's very fun. I definitely recommend you try it if you haven't played Gar. Like, it's not the
You
kind
gotta
of
buy
grindy play style that people associate with Gar.
you gotta buy like 2 starter packs, right? Though.
Two
Or have some
acclimators.
friends. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In my
So
version, anyway.
CJ's
Anyway,
list real quick is a 3 activation. He was CIS for Team Ohio, which won with 70 tournament points. But so he was a Providence carrier with Martuk, which is interesting, with Tykes, thermal shields, IF, black guns, external racks, PDIC, DBY, invincible, and he went with EWS. Which is natural with thermal shield. So that is loaded out to bear. I think we've seen a lot of Providences lately loaded out. People are really leaning into that. Then he follows up with his hammer, which is Patriot Fist, Rune Hako, Sensor Team, Reserve Hanger Decks. Keep that in mind. External racks and Link Turbo Laser Towers. And then he has a hard sell, just hanging out there with our Reserve Hanger Decks. And then 2 tries and 4 Vulture Joys for 6 squadrons. But he does have the 2 Reserve Hanger Decks to bring presumably those tri fighters back. So he's really got eight fighters.
yeah. And so the way when I was talking about him playing meticulously, he's very careful to set up in a position where the Providence is between you and the Recusant and the hard sell. Basically between where you and you want to go. And if you want to try to kill the Providence, I mean, like you said, it's loaded to bear. It's got EWS and thermals. It's got better salvo with DBYs. Like it is a pain in the butt to try to take down. Um, and so then, of course, if you're shooting that, then Patriot Fist is at long range of you. It's got Mark II, it's adding dice, right? So it's very difficult to try to approach that if you don't have like a can opener or if you don't have like really good maneuverability. And again, I told you, he's been practicing this for a while and he's gotten very good at setting up those positions where even if you have good maneuverability, it's still going to be beneficial to him. Like he's still going to set up the Providence where it needs to be, have the Requisite nearby.
And it looks like he's comfortable going first or second too.
Yes. Yeah.
With that list, which gives you flexibility with matchups a little bit more. I don't know. You guys got any thoughts on the fleet?
Yeah, it's a 3 activation. I love it because you want to go second almost. Because you can delay by being second. I think the hero here is the hard sell in the Mark Took list because it's naked and he can roll 5 red dice with the Confire command, which is really easy to do in this list. That thing's it's scarier to get shot by that than the Providence, right? So yeah, it's a good list. I mean, I love running that Providence, the double defensive. It's almost invincible, just like the name. So yeah, awesome job.
I'll say like the Patriots Fist, it's so frustrating because that's always has to be your target. Like in my opinion, to break down a CIS list, it has to be the first one to die. If that thing survives for all 6 rounds, you're just getting hammered every single turn at long range. But with the Providence, it's a good combo because that's your tank, right? You're flying that around. You want to get shot. You want to get that salvo with DVY and flat guns off, and it's hard to ignore a Providence in your face when really you should be attacking the Patriot Fist in my mind.
Yeah, there was another player at the tournament who also was flying CIS and had a similar build of like Providence Recusant. I think he was a top placing player, Kyle. Yeah, he also had Martuk on the Providence, and then a Recusant following behind with a hard sell and some squads. So I've been saying it in some of the discords. I do think Providence Patriot Fist is kind of the future of Martuk right now. People, we had RMM years and now I think we got Providence Recusant years. We'll see if that's enough to make CIS appear in Force at Worlds. We'll see. Of course, again, we're still waiting on an update. Martuk might get nerfed. Deservedly so, but.
So you have 2 lists, I'll just quickly observe, that have pretty much full fighters. You have a Rican list with a bunch of fighters, I think 7, all unique named per Rican. And then you have an interesting Piet list with, your inner doctor with the interdictor title Piet, which is super cool because you're getting double dials. Or, however you want to use it, maybe, I don't know, I guess you could use it for what? Let's see.
So with the CommsNet, okay, so
ECM, I
Exist
guess.
is the interdictor and Quasar. Yeah. He wanted to try Imperial squads and he didn't, and so we are trying out different builds. And he wanted to try the interdictor because he thought the shenanigans might be fun. And so we're like, well, you can do it with Sloan. I think he had Thrawn in one of the builds, and I was like, well, if you're doing interdictor, you can try Piet. And he really liked that Piet flexibility. Because he could double down on the Quasar without having to use like Pursuant or something like that, right? Like he could dial a nav or two in there with the token to get out of danger while still squatting the entire time. And then he could also use it on the interdictor with engine techs. Very often and early in the game, he would navigate a couple times while still dialing repair confire to put it in a really good spot for double arcs, hit you with that HIE, soften you up for the squad to come in and finish you off. And then, using the natural tankiness of the interdictor, try to keep it alive, kite it, while you're hopefully trying to chase it and ignoring the Quasar and all squads.
That seems like a matchup based like kind of fleet because you're slow, right? You're
Mhm.
kind of slow with the interdictor, not necessarily going to get your decaps off.
Well, again, it has the engine tech specifically to try to
I missed that. Okay, yeah.
take advantage of that. I mean, with the grab shift reroute in the engine techs, he can make it difficult to approach. And so that was kind of like his practice with it was trying to figure out what he can and can't go up against, right? Because like it has ECM, it is got repair 5, it does have targeting scramblers and interdictor, but it will die to something like if he played CJ, right? The interdictor will die quite quickly if he tries to go up against the Providence and the Requisite, right? And so a lot of it was like, okay, what can I fight up against? What do I have to run away against?
It does give you a bit. It does. I missed the engine text. It does give you a bit to get away, right? If you need to kind of pivot out of there, or time your engagement, a little bit better. I like that. It's probably my third favorite upgrade. Like I probably like, like in that support team spot. Well, I mean, I'd like, at least for like support team, like aux shield teams or projection experts with an interdictor. But projection experts wouldn't do much in this fleet because you don't have another big.
That was the thing is he can't really, if the Quasar's getting shot, it's already dead. So yeah, I kind of screwed him in my first round. I thought he might have a chance against the Gar. It was a Gar fleet that had a bunch of arcs, and I thought with Shirno and Mauler, he might be able to double tap and like burn through that. And he just couldn't. The arcs were too tanky and they rolled too well. I think Mauler died really quickly. A couple of defenders just went down to 2 or 3 shots. And he got steep. And then, once the squads were dead, he didn't have the firepower to take out the Venator. But after that, he did pretty well.
And then your last fleet, let's touch briefly on what kind of matchups you were looking for. Was the Riken fleet with 5 activations. So you got your 2 GR75s, you got your MC30 with H9s, I'll point out. Hammerhead, Corvette, Geralt's Honor, which is interesting. I don't know how well that worked. And then the flagship with Riken on it and TRCs. And then you have with Riken, what you see a lot of times, you see 7 to 8 named squadrons because that gives you the Riken bonus and lets you kind of dominate the squad war in a way that no other admiral really lets you do. So.
Yeah, it's a really annoying list to kind of fight because Riken is just whatever you go after, he can keep it there for a little bit longer than you want. I think so. Eric ended up doing pretty well. I think part of it was because the MC30, when he initially took this to a local tournament and was doing pretty well for the first 2 rounds, then played me, gave me first player, and my own MC30 basically went in and tore his fleet apart. And I was like, hey, against an MC30 with an MC30, take first player. And so I think most of this tournament he took first player. I was a little bit uncomfortable with it, which I kind of want to take the blame for. I feel bad for be like, take first player if he's not comfortable with it. But yeah, it's a really tricky fleet to try to approach. Like there's not a lot of points anywhere if he's not letting himself be tabled. And I mean, you can see in his games, he didn't really win, but he took really small losses every single time, even if he got like I think in the last game, he was playing one of those like really tricky Martuk CIS fleets that could absolutely just like one-shot his ships, right? And so he's very careful keeping the Cianani alive, making sure the MC30 doesn't take too much fire because it has, again, like you pointed out, H9 instead of Foresight.
In the team tournament concept, to have a player who knows I'm beat, I need to preserve points is super valuable. Like that, to have that, it's because it all is not, there's 3 other games going on. It all doesn't come down to just you. So I think that's another selling point for the team tournament, I guess.
It was a big thing in our fleet construction. Yeah, is don't get tabled. Especially Evan, because he only has those 2 ships. He was probably our biggest one. And so in that round 1 matchup, the reason we won our round 1 games Because I tabled the opponent, I got a 10-1, and Evan didn't get tabled. He only got 2-9'd. And that was the one tournament point that pushed us ahead in that round one.
After round one, all of the fleets were only separated by 2 tournament points, and it's like that's the beauty of the team tournament. It will be close no matter what. Now I've never seen someone really run away with it. So, although I didn't watch the team tournament at Worlds this year. So
Yeah, the one at the Worlds, my team, the opposite of running away with it. We got mispaired, I think, one of the rounds with a team that was much higher than we were. And so we had gotten our butts beaten kind of bad round one and round two. And then instead of being at the bottom of the ladder, we got placed against a team in the middle of the ladder for some reason. And so we then immediately got our butts kicked again in round three, which is a little bit disappointing. But again, still tons of fun.
yeah.
Team tournaments are always fun.
So you guys won. Congratulations. I really appreciate you guys coming down, traveling, taking time out of your day. Did you guys stay in a hotel for the night or?
I did not. I think a couple of our team did. Evan and Eric are only about 2.5 hours out because they're closer to Dayton. I think Evan's not actually from Ohio, but she's on Team Ohio. He plays here more. And then CJ and I just kind of drove back up.
Gotcha. Yeah, sure. You know, Chicago guys stayed for a night. I wish I could have probably hung out a little bit more, but it was good. So Garrett, you were here. You probably don't want to talk about it very much, how your experience went. But can you tell us a little bit, about your impressions about team tournament? Or
Yeah, no, it was a ton of fun. Our team, so my Lexington team was basically at a wedding. So I took one of my members from local, Jeff, and then I combined with 2 members from Louisville, and we put together a quick team because they wanted to be on a team too. And Louisville already had 2 teams put together, so it just had a lot of players. And so
Jeff who was flying Draven,
Draven Providence, yeah, Draven Rebel 1.
I watched that game and I was like, I don't know, I know I'm the judge and the TO, and I'm supposed to have a slight familiarity with the rules, but I don't know what's going on in this game with Draven here. I don't know.
His list is super fun. He just has a bunch of prox mines and then a giant bid for second player, and then forces you into picking one of his bad objectives or whatever, and then just plays it like that. He was my rock this whole time. He got 6-5 like each time, which was really good. It's like what you want to do. And then there are 2 Louisville players. One of them played CIS Grievous, and then one of them played Sloan. But like David said, it's just a good time. I don't know if we talked about the initial pair up, but the idea is, you pick one admiral from your team, and then they present 2 challengers, and then you pick which pair you want to go against. And that was really fun. Everyone had a ton of fun, like seeing what the reveal was going to be.
I really like people taking like their cards, right? And they'd be like, all right, here's Agate, here's, this person, and sliding them on, I think was super cool to see. Bringing your Admiral cards. I enjoyed just watching.
It was really funny presenting people with Draven because, Draven, people don't know what Draven does because they don't play him. So that was pretty funny.
Is he your champion, Draven?
I think so. Yeah. I want to say Draven, because he got 6-5 each time, which is perfect, right?
I'll say, speaking from experience, having raid commander, for me it's usually Dooku, but raid commander is your champion. It's very good because usually no one wants to deal with that, so you can usually end up getting a good matchup.
Yeah.
Ken, did you fly Draven at Gen Con?
I did not fly Draven at Gen Con. I flew Akbar at Gen Con, but I have flown a lot of Draven. And for me, with my Rebel lists, he's kind of right there with Kraken. And again, a lot of it comes down to a lot of people misread how Draven works. Part of that is because of the complete retooling of Draven. Frankly, I liked him the way that he was originally, but this double token thing is bull. Frankly, it should be you cannot use the dial and leave it at that. And then you're stuck with the token. And if you already have one, you lose your dial. That's the right way Draven should work. And I will stand by that till the day I die. But no, I enjoy using Draven because there's this odd, no one really plays him. So he becomes a mystery box. And when you have a mystery box, your opponent is on edge and not really 100% sure of what's going on. And with Armada, you get 6 turns. If you throw someone off the first 2 turns, you've completely disrupted their game plan and they're struggling to get out of it. So I can honestly say I don't think I've ever been tabled while using Draven.
And the other thing is that Rebels have a ton of fun little tools like that. Like your teammate Garrett was running the mines. They also have things like Ezra. They've got Sabine, Officer.
Yeah,
They've
and he
got
took both of
Rex.
those.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Which is
There's
what you want
tons
to
of
stack.
weird shenanigans you can do to throw people off with that.
What does Ezra do? Just by putting the mine on Ezra and then pushing
Right.
it?
And you can move
Yeah.
the obstacle with the mine on there.
Well, and
After
if you're
Sabine puts
raiding
a new one in.
nav as well, and you put like a rift or a rock in front of someone, or you move the station away from where they were, right?
Yeah.
My
And then
my
he I'm sorry. And then he combines the mines with
Yeah,
boarding
yeah.
engineers, which is the best part about his list. When it gets off, if you're like he can hit you with the mines, gets the damage cards on you, and then boarding engineers you instead of boarding troopers. It's a fun combo.
I think my pinnacle of like an Armada achievement, if you have like an Xbox, you have like your achievement, Xbox achievements or whatnot. I think if I had Ezra, we could maybe make a card or something on this. If you had Ezra push a rift, like a rift into another ship would be like my to go speed zero. I think that would be like my Xbox accomplishment for Armada. That's what I dream of doing.
Yeah, get some
I've
speed
never
ship
done
to
it.
land on it with Draven with a nav raid.
Yeah. Do all those peltas. Those peltas like to run rift ambush, because they can go faster. It was like that's just a counter. All
So
right, so
Ryan, next time you're playing in a tournament and you've got Ezra on one of your fleets, I'm going to be walking around with like my phone with that little Xbox achievement unlocked sound effect ready to go so that when you do that, I can do the little bloop and then we're done.
we need like official, command stack ion radio like achievements, like Armada achievements, and we'll just like give them out, like push the rift under Ezra or something. We could work. We'll workshop. We'll
We'll,
workshop.
we'll work on that. We'll post it somewhere and then you can download the PDF and check it off and you get, some kind of points towards, I don't know, Admiral Tater gear. How about
I'll
that?
let you guys do that. That's hard pass.
One of my
All
goals
right,
with
so-
Dooku was always to raid nav and force an enemy ship to just fly off the board because it couldn't nav and turn away. Unfortunately,
I've
never
done that with-
happened. It was always
I've done
my
that
ship
with
flying
Draven.
off.
I've done that with Draven.
Of course you have with Draven because they'll forget.
Well, they forget, and by the time you get that raid token, because again, it's round 1 and 2, you're not sure what Draven's going to do. Round 3 and 4 is when Draven actually has an effect, and you fly off the board. I did that once, so that was great. I enjoyed that.
If you want to see Damon fly Dooku, go to 2023 DepthCon videos, last chance qualifier. You will see him crush with what's the red objective that choice people always picked?
It was Ion Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played Ion Storm against, I don't remember his name, it was a Canadian player. I think the brother of Louis Andre. I think it's Samuel. And then I also played Outbound Flight, Colin Looney in round 4 on stream as well.
So you can watch two of his games online. Did we get you this year?
No, unfortunately not. No, I was not. I was not near the top tables most of the day. I kind of squeaked in day 1 on my last game because I played Angry Ewok round 3 and he kind of gave me the business. I think it was like 10 damage and an accuracy in my Recusant from his assault frigate. And then day 2, I had a couple unfortunate 5/6s before I climbed back up to 9th place.
Yeah, got it. All right. Well, maybe this year. We'll see. Well, thanks everyone for coming out. We had 24 players. Great showing. We will be doing it again next year, provided the store will let me take up their table space again.
We should probably do it in the winter, like probably in the next couple of months. Because we'll
What do
have
you
more
mean?
table space. Like
Do
less
another
events
one.
going
Do
on.
the 2025 Kentucky State Championships in
Yeah.
January.
Yeah.
We can make it 2 a year.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, now's the time. The hype.
Well, now we need like an Ohio State Championship or an Indiana one. The Indiana player base is like evaporated, but
Yeah. Their local store shut down, I think, like a year or 2 years ago, and that
hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Louisville's
had
a
a
really good
good
central
championship.
location, though.
Yeah. Good. All right. So let's move on to something I had been wanting to do. This show has gotten some press, I guess, some reviews that have been, I think, unfair to what I think was a great attempt to kind of push Star Wars outside of its box. It's been over for a couple months. It will not be coming back. We know that. This is we're just gonna we want to do we've done this a couple of times. I think we did it with Ahsoka, but this is Acolyte. We wanted to briefly touch in on Acolyte and really talk about how great of a show it was, how much we all enjoyed it, and just kind of give it a postmortem on it just for a couple minutes on Acolyte. I know Garrett can't wait to talk about it. So
Silence. First off, I want to say the show is not good from a foundational basis. Very uninteresting mystery, very poorly done lead up to tension.
we should say spoilers. Spoilers, first of all. If you don't,
I don't even. What's there to spoil? If you are interested in Sith and a story like this, just read Plagueis, okay, by James Luceno. Say that now. And Bane, Path of Destruction, okay, that trilogy. But anyways, Acolytes.
You also write Tarkin.
Yeah, he did. He's writing a lot of good books. But I will say this.
But what's
Listen.
the one with Rogue One, the precursor to Rogue
Catalyst.
One?
Catalyst.
That one was not so good.
I like that too.
Personal
but
opinion.
Anyways, Acolyte, it's just I'll give episode 5 props for their lightsaber choreography. They made lightsabers kill people again. That was exciting to see. Very surprised that someone got stabbed in the chest and they died. Very impressed with that. Let's see.
that's all you got to take away from Acolyte.
What's his name? The guy from Squid Games. Very good actor. Enjoyed him. I really like Jackie's actress. I think she was also in Wolverine. Logan. She was like X-23 or whatever. That actress. And I really liked
okay, yeah.
one of the other actors. What was his name? Yord from the Yord Horde, I think was the meme. He was also good. I did not enjoy the twin story. I don't mind Night Sisters. I don't mind Magical Force stuff, but whatever they were doing was it just was not interesting.
So I think the acting was surprisingly rough for the first couple of episodes, where like I have low standards, and that has made me very happy in life. And I'll just say this in general: people have low standards, and then like you'll just like a lot more stuff, and you'll kind of be a happier person. So I have low standards, and even the acting in the first couple of episodes, the Acolyte was rough. The Green Lady, whoever she was, the Jedi Master, I don't know if she was trying to play like the alien species, but it looked like she was reading cue cards.
Finestra Rowe. Yeah. She was the actress or the director's wife, I think. So there might have been some nepotism there in that role.
I'm going to take a giant leap and say there probably was in that
case. Listen, if people like this, I'm glad they did. I'm glad it exists for them. Just kind of like The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. Not fans of those either, but if you like them, I'm glad you like them.
So the show did one thing that I think is worthy of mention. It attempted to portray Jedi differently than any other medium we've ever really seen.
No,
yes.
I don't agree with that, because there's 40 years of comic books and novels with all sorts of whatever flavor you want. And the Clone Wars TV show did all sorts of grayish, not black and white situations.
I don't remember ever hearing that Jedis were kidnapping children.
It's like a whole plot line in the Clone Wars.
Well, there was that, but that
it's been
was
like 15 years since I've watched the Clone Wars.
Well, it's someone kidnapping the children from the Jedi.
There was a Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, that was that too. Yeah,
that wasn't there.
What'd you say?
Tales of the Jedi, the comic book series from like 30, 40 years ago.
Well,
the one with
it was from the late 90s, but with the Old Republic,
stuff like that. Or am I just so old that you guys don't remember that?
No, I know Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Sith. Not the new show, but the old comics.
No, the old comics. Yeah, the one that took place 4,000 years ago and wound up being the precursor to the Knights of the Old Republic video games by BioWare, which, by the way, the first one was awesome.
Yeah, I think
Was.
they're both good.
Yeah.
But yeah. Speaking of that, KOTOR 2 does a better job of what you're trying to say right now than
Okay.
Acolyte. I don't know.
Okay.
I have a
I think
hard time
that's fair.
saying it didn't really do anything new. It just took stuff we already have and did it worse.
So Ryan, here's what I'm going to say about the Acolyte. The lightsaber choreography was outstanding. I really enjoyed the fight sequences. I think the bleeding of the lightsaber crystal was neat. That was something that we haven't really seen before, and that was kind of a fun little nugget. I'll give you that. The fact that Cortosis was brought into live action Star Wars from the Knights of the Old Republic game, that was kind of really cool. Also, there's all
To be
these
honest, that
little.
was over my head. I didn't understand what was going on.
So the Cortosis weave in the Knights of the Old Republic game was a type of way of manufacturing your vibro blades and everything else so that a lightsaber could not cut through it. So it was used in armor, it was used in other weapons. So when Cortosis was mentioned, the little
Okay.
Star Wars kid in me
Well,
was, cool.
it shorts out the blade, is what it does. Shorts it out.
Which I don't remember doing it in the video game, but that's fine. I'm cool with that if that's what they want to do with the new canon.
Yeah. Well, that's what it did in Plagueis, the novel.
Okay.
This show is like somebody read Plagueis and it was like, I really like this stuff. I'm gonna make a show out of it.
And
then it was just not as good.
and getting that little hint of Darth Plagueis at the end was neat. And it was like that actually had me excited to see where they might go in a second season. What didn't do it for me was the main characters, the twin girls. And it had nothing to do with the acting. I think it was just how the story came about.
I don't know. The acting was rough.
Well, but if you
I
ignore
think they were fine actors.
me personally, I didn't care about their story. I cared about the secondary and tertiary stories.
Yes.
That was more interesting to me than the main storyline that they were approaching. I mean, at the end of the day, who doesn't want to see a Jedi Wookiee kicking butt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was really cool.
And then we didn't get to see it.
I mean, you get a little bit, but you didn't get to see a lot. But I mean, yeah, it's again, this goes back to the fight choreography was awesome. I think the story was intentionally written to set up a second season or multiple seasons, and it didn't sell itself in the first few episodes. And I think that's why it's generally speaking looked down upon. That's my take.
Just wasn't very good. Manny Jacinto was a good actor. I liked his story. That was interesting. Darth Toothless, or whatever they want to call him. That was good.
I think Ken, I think you raised some good points. It reminds me of I didn't buy the flip flop of the twins. You know, I didn't buy it. I especially didn't see, and this is like major spoilers, but like I especially didn't see the quote unquote good twin fall to the dark side. Like I didn't buy it. I just didn't. The 6 episodes didn't do that for me. So I think that's a definitely a fair criticism. So
I do want to say that Skeleton Crew is actually good.
Okay, I've only seen the first 2 episodes. I'm behind one, so
I'm hooked.
I'm asked just a little bit of quiet there on that for me, please.
I love maps. I love treasure. I'm hooked.
It's Goonies meets Star Wars, which is awesome. Plus, when they were going to the pirate planet, one of the ships that was just docked there looks like it was the original Ralph McQuarrie design for the Millennium Falcon, which is kind of the cross between.
Well, now we call it the DP-20 Corellian Corvette.
It's a Corellian gunship,
right?
Yeah.
Which we could have in Armada.
Yeah. There's a Pelta hooked up, which was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, there was some neat stuff. I mean, I'm excited for Skeleton Crew. I'm really curious to see where that goes. But before we go on with Skeleton Crew, I do want to ask one question about Acolyte. Just one.
Yeah.
Do we think that if they made it into 8 episodes, it would have been better as opposed to just the 6 they kept? Or would it have made it worse?
No. They would have drug it out even longer. Ugh.
I think there was some pacing problems that maybe could have been worked out with more time.
They filmed, there's 2 episodes that are the same episode from different points of view that deliver no new information.
We get it, Garrett. We get it. You don't like it. You don't like acting.
I'm sorry. It's so bad. It's so bad.
All right. Well, I Ken liked the last 3 seconds of Acolyte when they showed Plagius, and then Garrett didn't like any of it, and I have low standards. So
I named like
that's
10 things I liked. All right. That's not fair.
all right.
You mostly
That's
just name
fair.
the actors.
Yeah. I like the characters. I like Jackie. All right. She's dead, but I liked her.
Man, she was holding her own too, wasn't
Yeah. She was the most interesting character in the whole thing.
she? Yeah, they
Yeah.
killed her off. Sorry, spoiler.
I think we're a little light for spoilers at this point. All right, so that's. I appreciate you guys humoring me a little bit. We're all like to watch that kind of stuff. So it was very controversial. I'll say so. And then finally, we're gonna wrap it up here. Garrett's done. Garrett can't talk anymore. He's moving off screen. He's done. Oh, he comes back. All right. So, Damon, on here, we talk our final. We always wrap up with what else are we playing? We play lots of games. I'll go first. I am playing HeroScape. Love HeroScape. It's super fun. 30 minutes. I'm gonna get my
As Garrett disappears into the background and probably bring a giant box of
got- my Captain America HeroScape from Marvel.
Cool.
This guy is an incredible. Garrett, here's my Captain America.
There's the boxes.
Oh, you got the new stuff. All right, yeah. It's awesome. We got to go to another tournament, Garrett.
There's like one tomorrow, but I can't. If I was going to go to a tournament, it'd be the Ohio one, but I can't go to that one either.
Yeah. So it's super fast-paced game. They have figured out somehow how to do pre-painted miniatures, which is awesome. I think they do something which I haven't seen where they give you the option of getting pre-painted and not pre-painted. All right, I'll let Garrett talk.
Hey, you got it.
Speaking of pre-painted plastic ship miniatures,
How do they do it?
Star Trek Into the Unknown. I don't know how they do it. They came and painted. It's crazy, guys.
And they're nice
Crazy,
looking too.
fully assembled,
Wow.
painted with detail and numbers and words. 6 ships in one box.
Too many ships.
And there's the
See
artwork
two
many
ships in
ships.
there.
is
Get outta here.
incredible with the cards and everything for the game. That's a lot of stuff that's put into that $150 box, I think.
I think it's 150, and
Yeah.
it is jam packed.
That's not bad.
And,
Yeah.
and when
It's
you
not bad
look
at
at
all.
the people behind it, with Max Brook and Michael Gurnis, and what they've put into this game, it is some incredible stuff. And they didn't just think about how do we make the box. It's very clear they were thinking a lot longer term, and they're very clearly Trekkies because they're into this game quite a bit, and they're really looking forward to doing a lot more for it. So I'm excited to see what that game is going to bring out. I've got some sneak peeks that may or may not be coming out on a separate video cast later. But what I can say that's the game that I've been playing a lot of recently. Shout out to WizKids for sending me the box. Love it. It's great. Been able to get some content out, and our first, I'm going to call it a mission report, will probably be out. Well, as of the day of this recording, we're recording on Friday the 13th. So I'm expecting our first one to come out on Friday the 20th. So that'll be a fun Christmas gift for everyone. Maybe I'll intentionally push it off like another day or two to go to like Christmas Eve or something. But
Yes.
beyond that, I've been doing a lot of work with green screens and motion control with cameras and stuff. So that's been fun to play around with.
Yeah, should be cool. But yeah, Star Trek Into the Unknown. Same devs as Armada. Highly recommend looking into it. Should be hitting stores sometime this month. If you order from WizKids, you can get it now.
You could. I'm
Are they
hearing
sold
people
out?
are pre-ordering now, and it's not coming as quickly as people that pre-ordered it earlier. So
Yeah. So I'm excited. And then there's expansions on the way. You can already order a standalone Enterprise. And get this, guys. Get this standalone Enterprise. It's not $100. It is $30 for a pre-painted model.
and,
What are we
and
talking
$30.
it's a decent size. I'm going to grab that
What are
and
we talking
an
about?
ISD. I'll let
So,
Dave tell
they're
people.
already so the Enterprise, they're coming out with an alternate paint job of it already as a
Okay.
standalone model, and it's only $30 for the ship and base.
I mean, surely it's
$30.
a small ship, right? It's a very small. It's a little.
Bigger than ISD.
All right.
About the same size, I guess. But yeah.
Here is my favorite Armada ship, the MC-30. Here is the Enterprise. I mean, it's bigger than the MC-30, right? And if we take this and put it holding right next to each other, an ISD, it is about the same size, relatively speaking.
$30.
So, yeah, you get a little bit more plastic with this than you do this, but I mean, that's pretty detailed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it. Amazing.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but
yeah. You're telling me people would spend money on this?
Ken, you
on
didn't
the Star Trek stuff? Yeah, people are going to spend a lot of money.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I spent $30 on that for sure. Just to have, just not even to play, just to have the model and put it up.
Well, that's the genius part they're doing. They're releasing the models, the $30 model. They're not putting a bunch of extra components in it because all the components you need come in the core set. So they're not bloating their expansions with a bunch of excess tokens, which I think is a lesson, they took directly from creating X-Wing and Armada expansions.
The expansion in particular with the Enterprise, the only thing different from this one that comes in the core set is the paint scheme. And any cards and anything that comes with the ship itself will be identical to what is in the core set, like Garrett said. And now this might be, and that's why they called it something else, like not an exploration pack, but a ship pack or something. So, but the intention here is to sell that to collectors. So if you just want the ship, go ahead and buy this one. It's cheaper, and you're not going to deprive someone from the full game for the 150.
Yeah, which already happens at X-Wing and Armada, where people were just buying ships for their desk. So,
right.
I'm excited, guys. Even if you're not into Star Trek, Star Trek has a ton of factions. And it just, you can be super peaceful faction, and then there's super evil factions. So there's something for everybody. I'm excited to see where this game goes.
If you're into it, go buy it. The more they sell, the more expansions we'll see. So
yeah, and it's not expensive. Like this thing is in 2024. This is a very lean priced pre-painted model game.
There's a lot in there, and
it's like 10. It's like 10 Hot Wheels. I think in Hot Wheels because that's what I buy now for my 3-year-old son. So it's like 10 Hot Wheels is the Enterprise.
And 10 Hot Wheels.
It's not just the 10 Hot Wheels. It's the 10 Hot Wheels with all the track and the nifty little gizmos you have to make them race around. Because this
Hot Wheels, which are also pre-painted.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
The only other thing I'm going to say on the game is there's a lot. And you have a complete game. You don't need anything else. And that core box will last you at least 10, 15 sessions. So food for thought.
All right. Well, if you haven't heard the game, look at it, check it out for sure. Damon, what else are you playing?
I got a game of Arcs in a couple weeks ago. It's a board game. It's set in space. It's got a weird, fun kind of trick-taking kind of thing that lets you decide your actions. It's pretty fun.
Oh, Arcs?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't heard of that one.
It's decently recent. Like, it's one of those where it's like press has been coming out for a bunch of months, but it just came out like retail-y. The actual box isn't that expensive as far as I understand it. Like for a big space game, Twilight Imperium is like what, $140 or something for the big thing. And like, not saying this is a Twilight Imperium, but it's like that kind of build spaceships, fight your enemies.
Looking at the images,
it looks
beefy. Looks like meaty.
Get unique powers with cards and stuff like that. Yeah, it was pretty fun. And then I've got a Armada tournament tomorrow. All the team tournament people are going to be there, so we get some nice games against each other. Still have not decided my fleet, so that's what I'm up to after this.
All right. Well, we won't. What are you leading? We can help you.
I think I would just want a can opener kind of fleet. I know. I see
boarding troopers.
I know. I'm considering I've been spoilers for my world's fleet. I'm definitely considering like a Providence Reckoning kind of thing. Historically, I've been flying just those two ships with like 120-ish points of squads. And the issue with that is it kind of gets stuck against Republic fleets that also have a bunch of squads because your 120-ish of squads can't break through their squad bunker. and then the Venator generally is tanky enough to survive either the Recusant or the Providence. You have to like play really well with those two ships. Like I've done it once, but usually I just get my butt kicked.
Okay.
In that
Why does this
matchup.
not explain to me why this doesn't work? So I've looked at this and I don't know why everyone doesn't fly this. Martuk with 3 Recusants, Intel officer, boarding troopers, and let's say one turbo laser upgrade, and like
So
5 or 6 vultures. Like,
Z-Man
why
did
is
something similar a while back with like it was like triple Recusant with Martuk, XI7.
XI7?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think the main limiting factor is not a lot of people own 3 Recusants in real life.
I do.
Um,
That's like a $300 fleet, to be fair.
yeah. I've only got 2 of them myself. Um, I don't know. I think part of it is psychology. I think people like myself, I enjoy not spamming ships. I enjoy having a variety of ships in my fleet and having a variety of different like roles and weaknesses covered, not skewing super hard. I think the other problem is that it could just flat out lose to like a tanky squad fleet, like a rogue, something like that, or like a Swanager where the Onager is like blaps a Recusant and then flies away with engine techs.
What I
Um,
so what I like about the fleet that the other fleets that I built don't have good answers for, and you'll see it once I tell you. CR90 spam fleets. There's 4 or 5 CR90s
mhm.
with 134 squads. My fleets that I tend to build with boarding troopers, can opener type fleets, don't have a good way to deal with that. That triple rec with XI7s until XI7s would with Martuk at red range would obliterate, I think, a CR90 spam fleet.
So I think the issue with that, from experience playing against a bunch of those fleets, is that you will never one shot a CR90 with that fleet. You can get close, but you can't one shot them. And if they out activate you, and they can basically determine engagement, because even though you're speed 3 maneuverable, they are speed 4 and more maneuverable, and they will ensure that you only get that one shot. Like I've played against Kraken CR90 fleets where they will literally set up like 1 in each opposite corner and then like 2 in the middle, and they will fly in such a way that you get to chase 1 and like shoot at it and like maybe kill it, right? And the rest will fly around and kite you the rest of the game and blink you with the 2 damage over and over. All the squads tear apart your ships.
I'll say
Um,
I just hate flying against CR90 spam.
yeah.
Like I think it's bad. Like not I mean
Oh
not,
yeah, yeah,
not fun. I don't think it's a fun experience.
Yeah, I
If
don't
you
think
want to fly
anybody
it,
likes
go.
flying against it, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for a reason.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. Thanks everyone for coming. Ken doesn't know I'm going to do this. He's going to be super mad at me for doing this. But if we get 2,000 views, Ken will play a game of HeroScape. It'll be great. I will send it. I will buy the HeroScape package for him, send it to him, and he will film it for Ion Radio. So 2,000 views. I think you can just click. I don't really know how it works, how the algorithms work on it, but we'll put this on YouTube. 2,000 views,
Just click it 2,000 times. Yeah.
which would be like twice our highest ever viewership. And Ken is or maybe Ken will just say no, and it'll be me and Garrett filming some games of HeroScape. So
Now a bad time to tell you, Ryan, that I may have HeroScape now.
ah
get on it.
yeah.
It's kidding. The Star Trek is taking time. We got to work on that.
Well,
But he will film an episode with John. We're going to make John do it, or his brother. He's talked about.
I tell you what, Ryan, if I'm going to film a HeroScape episode, I will do it with my brother just for you, and I'll even put one of those for Ryan, in the credits.
I will call in and just play remotely. It's such a simple game. I'll be like, move 4 spaces up. All right, roll. I'm going to roll my dice. All right. It
We'll
won't
do it over
film. It won't
Zoom.
be
That'll be
beautiful on
fun.
film. But all right. But that's all I got. Thank you, Damon, for hanging out with us and talking about our fun game, our
Yeah.
fun
Thanks for
hobby.
having me on. Always fun to talk about Armada.
Yeah, good luck to tournament tomorrow. Hope you find that list you're looking for. But I guess I'll do the send off. Find us at YouTube, any podcast server that Apple, whatever, you can find us. But we'll be under Ion Radio's channel and Command Stack. So please go to YouTube and watch all that. It's super helpful. I think is a good thing when you like stuff on that helps the algorithm. And then click them a whole bunch of times to get Ken to play HeroScape. So
Leave us reviews on the podcast stuff if you can. That really helps push us up.
we do engage too. Like if you put a comment, one of us will look at the comment and respond. So we're always happy to do that as well. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of acolyte love for my take on that as well. So
I'll probably get attacked for my hateful rhetoric.
anyway, this is Command Stack. I'm Ryan.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Ken.
You're
Do I say
Damon.
something?
And
Yeah, you
Okay,
can.
I was here.
And our special guest.
Special
I'm not
guest
on command
Damon.
stack, but I'm here.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for watching.